Good evening, my extended family. Good evening. It is Wednesday night, June 17th, 2020. I hope you all had a good night's sleep last night and that the day went well for you today. Thanks again for letting me spend a few minutes with you this evening. I appreciate every one of you. Every evening I like to start by reminding each and every one of you that you are wonderfully made, that you are loved and cared about by many, and that you have a lot to offer others. Please don't ever forget that or get tired of hearing me say that to you. All right, let's get ready to travel. Tonight's broadcast is coming from a state that was established in 1890. When Benjamin Harrison was president, President Benjamin Harrison was first a member of the Whig Party and later became a member of the anti-slavery Republican Party. This state is known for its potatoes and gemstones. This state's name means gem of the mountains. Funny laws of this state. It's against the law for a person to live in a doghouse. I'm going to have to tell my wife that one. She can't send me there anymore. You can't drive a motorcycle if you're over 88 years old. So I think I've been putting it off too long. I used to drive a motorcycle, ride a motorcycle. It was a lot of fun. I think about doing it again, but it's a lot crazier out there on the roads now than it was back in the 70s, so maybe I'll wait till I'm 88, a couple years away. Another law, you cannot ride the merry-go-round on a Sunday in this state. It's illegal to buy onions after dark. Not quite sure I understand that one. You can't sell your chicken after sundown. You got to sell your chickens before sundown. Selling a bad potato is against the law in this state. In one town, it's a requirement to smile at people as they pass by. It's a requirement. Try that around here and people think you're strange. I'm going to smile anyway. And any bad looks towards anybody will get you a hefty fine. So you can't even look angrily at somebody. And that's a pretty good thing too. You can't sweep dirt from your house into the street. You can't fish while off the back of a camel. I have no idea. I don't know if that means something different in another language, but you can't fish while off the back of a camel. I tried to look it up, and all I found was that you can't fish off the back of a giraffe either. They're off limits. The state flower is the syringa flower, and is known for its strong, sweet fragrance. The state's insect is the monarch butterfly. They're beautiful. The state bird is the mountain bluebird. The state tree is the western white pine. The nickname of this state is the Gem State. This is because this state has more than 72 different kinds of precious and semi-precious stones. The only place in the world that has more precious stones than this state is Africa, the continent of Africa. The state capital here is Boise, and now you know that we are in Idaho, the state of Idaho. The character trait for the month of June, as I've been saying, is integrity, which is the quality of being who you say you are and doing the right thing when nobody's looking. As I told my students this morning, if you're the boss and you have to leave work and leave someone in charge of getting things done while you're gone, choose the person with the most integrity. That's a pretty good bet that the work will get done. Now, today is National Garbage Man Appreciation Day. I didn't know that existed until today. So anyway, I left my garbage man a Happy Garbage Man Day card on top of the garbage can. And as a truck pulled up to my house, I watched from the upstairs window as the garbage man took what he didn't realize was a thank you card for the job that he does and tossed it into the can. I quickly yelled, "Hey, that card's for you." I smiled, yelled down, "Happy Garbage Man Day." Man, that garbage man gave me the strangest look and left quicker than I've ever seen. Apparently, he's not aware that today is National Garbage Man Appreciation Day. I'm happy to say that I didn't put any money in the card or any gift cards. The word of the day is harangue. This word describes a ranting speech, a yelling, a shouting, angry, exaggerated, and long speech. That's a pretty good word given that this is an election year. On this day in history, back in 1885, the Statue of Liberty arrived in New York, a gift of friendship from the people of France. It was placed 2 days later at its permanent home on Bedloes Island. In 1956, by an official act of the United States Congress, the name of the island was changed to Liberty Island. This beautiful lady, standing as a symbol of freedom and democracy in the harbor, was a welcome sight for the over 12 million immigrants arriving at Ellis Island between 1892 and 1954. I didn't realize that Ellis Island stayed open until 1954. In 1928, Amelia Earhart became the first woman to fly across the Atlantic Ocean on this date. In 1940, 3 Baltic states, Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania, they all fell under Soviet occupation. In 1944, Iceland gained its independence, and they did this by using the voting booth, where over 90% of the people voted, over 98%. Now there's a voting percentage for us Americans to shoot for. We should all be voting. Back in the year 1972, Watergate began. And now over to Jail Hill, where I grew up. But a few years before I was born, back in 1834, a couple years before I was born, a new county jail was built between Cedar Street and Fountain Street, just north of downtown Norwich. I tried to look up what was the jail before this one was built, and I couldn't find that. If somebody knows, please let me know. Before the jail was built, the hill overlooking the Thames River was called Kinney Hill because it was owned by the Kinney family. Now, the city of Norwich was founded in 1659 by settlers from Saybrook and incorporated in 1784. And Norwich was one of the first 5 Connecticut cities. One of the first 5 Connecticut cities. The early settlement was around the Norwich Town Green, my favorite place in the world. I love going to the Norwich Town Green. A lot of times I'll take my cigar and just sit up there on the green and have the stogie. But back to Jail Hill. Back in the olden days, again before my time, being on the hill would provide a beautiful view of steamboats coming up the Thames River with passengers and freight to the Norwich wharves. What I do remember from when I was a kid is that this is the time of year when we all started putting fans in the window to pull in some of that nice cool air into the house coming up the hill. Nobody had air conditioners back then, just fans and open windows. And sometimes a cool wet cloth used to cool you down when you tried to sleep on a hot night. But by the next morning, things got cooled off again, and at least for a few hours. And no matter how hot it became the next day, there would always be a wiffle ball game going on in my side yard. Wiffle ball was great. That was a thing we did over the summer. We could always count on the usual kids coming over to play. Philly, Bobby, and Johnny Punch, Mike Langlois, and of course my older brother. 3-on-3 was always good, so it was never too long a wait till you were up to bat again. Every once in a while, somebody from out of the neighborhood would come and play, and it was like a guest player. It was pretty enjoyable. Jimmy Leone would come down, Tom McDermott would come up, the Grumko brothers would come over. We'd play 9 innings, often taking a break on a hot day to run up to Caparelli's well, where we would pump the handle to get the best tasting water in the neighborhood. I remember Mr. Caparelli's only rule was make sure you boys leave some water in the bucket to prime the pump. We'd take a few plums from Mr. Walsky's yard, or we'd pick some rhubarb from Barry Reeder's grandfather's rhubarb patch. But we always went back to finish the 9-inning wiffle ball game. Now that was living. As a kid, that was living. Summers went on forever. Anyway, that's the show for tonight. So until we meet again, let us all have a blessed, peaceful night, and let's be kind to one another. Again, and as always, you're truly quite special. The world wouldn't be the same without you. So don't even think of leaving. The world, and especially the people right around you, need you, and that's a good thing. And remember your prayer requests, as the ladies' prayer group are happy to add them to their Getting Longer by the Day list. So until we meet again, good night, and may God bless.